I've wanted to do a video about this topic for a while, and recently there was a clip from the US show The View which really highlights this very, very accurately. And so I wanted to react to it and then have a bit of a discussion. So here goes.
So there's this clip going viral online of a dozen women being asked the following question: do we need men? Most answered very quickly, no. And only one said she thought women needed a man in their lives, only one. But when men were asked a similar question, do we need women, most of them said yes. So why do you think that is?
Because men are useless. I mean, and by the way, I want to differentiate between straight men and gay men, because I think I would die without gay men. Nobody can gossip like gay men. Nobody can help you accessorize like gay men. Nobody can help you keep you from doing harm to yourself like gay men. But with the exception of something like Steve, I think Steve is very self-sufficient.
That's Joy's husband.
But like my husband, it takes a village of women to make sure that he's not emaciated, starving, and living in his own filth. He can, you know.
Okay, that's enough. It actually turns out that the woman saying that her husband would be completely emaciated and needs a village of women in order to support him is actually a very successful lawyer. And yet he is castigated on this show in front of millions of people as if he's someone useless. And I think that's really a divorce-worthy level of disrespect. But, you know, maybe he's a very tolerant person. Anyway, the point I wanted to make is, can you imagine something similar that they've said about men being said about women and people being okay with it? Can you imagine an audience applauding to some men gathered round on a panel show on television saying, oh, women are useless, women would starve without us? I mean, you see some things like this in YouTube, but can you imagine it on national television? It would be cancelled so fast. And yet, why do we tolerate this? Why is it so okay to bash men as a complete gender, you know, indiscriminately, without knowing any of them? How is it okay to attack men, but it's not okay to attack women? And the reason for this is that we have an inbuilt preference called the women are wonderful effect. Research shows that women automatically trust and take the side of other women 4.5 times as much as men automatically trust and take the side of other men. But it's not even just about support and cooperation. It's that both sexes have a bias towards women. Research shows that when people see an article saying that women are better at something, or women are more compassionate, more kind, are better communicators, most people are more willing to give credence to that. They're more willing to believe it than they are if they were to see an article saying that men are better at something. Men are better at mathematics or engineering or whatever else. In fact, people have got fired for the idea that men might be naturally better at some things, whereas it's fine to suggest that women are better at some things. And we're also more naturally protective of women. If you are out in public and you see a man getting slapped across the face by a woman, most people's automatic reaction is not, oh, she's a horrible person, but what did that guy do to deserve it? Whereas if you reverse the sexes, if you saw a woman getting slapped across the face by a man, you can be pretty sure that within seconds he'd have several men willing to beat the shit out of him without asking any questions about it. And given our evolutionary history, it kind of makes sense, because a tribe that loses a lot of its women will die out, whereas a tribe that loses most of its men can repopulate from a very small number of men. And we see this also in child custody battles. Women are given custody of children much more than men are given custody, because it's assumed that they're a better parent, whereas in reality, the stats really don't show that.
63% of youth suicides are from single mother homes. 90% of homelessness and runaway children are from single mother homes.
You can't put that on the mother.
85% of children who show behavioral disorders are from single mother homes. 80% of rapists with anger problems are from single mother homes. 71% of high school dropouts are from single mother homes. 70% of youths in operated institutions are from single mother homes. 80% of all the youths that are in prison are from single mother homes. This shows that boys and girls need both their mother and their father. And I will tell you as a father, I know from raising my son that he needs both me and his mother in his life.
And women are even given more lenient prison sentences for the same crimes committed as men. A few years ago, there was an article about an Oxford University female student who was spared jail for stabbing her boyfriend because she was bright and had a promising future. Can you imagine a man being spared jail for stabbing his girlfriend because he was bright and had a promising future? The narrative is written a lot differently. And this bias leads people to have very little sympathy for men. Quite often on social media, you'll see a post about a woman being afraid of walking home on her own and saying something like, "Men can't possibly understand what this feels like." And women do worry about walking home alone more than men. But statistically, men are 3 to 4 times more likely to be attacked while walking home on their own. Just no one gives a shit about it. And when you raise this point, feminists usually come back with something like, "Yeah, but he's attacked by other men," as if we're some giant telepathically linked network, as if I can influence the actions of another man that I've never met and have never spoken to. Do women hold themselves to that same standard? Do women read an article about a woman lying about who the father of her children is for years and think, "Oh, I should teach other women not to do this"? Same goes for the teach men not to RAPE. Most men don't associate with men like that. It's very, very few men doing it. We're not a telepathic network with collective responsibility. You can't group together an entire gender and assume that each person knows the other person and can influence the other person just because they share that gender. And this "women are wonderful but men are trash" thing is the biggest act of cultural gaslighting I've ever seen. How many times do you see women saying men should open up more about their feelings, whereas when they do, what happens?
But women have conversations about their feelings. Men talk about
It's
sports,
socializing,
cars, all that stuff.
I don't know. My husband talks about his feelings with his
Maybe he's
friends.
gay. Next.
So the number one thing that correlates with male suicide is not depression. And this is super scary. There's one study I saw recently that suggests that 50% of men who kill themselves have no history or evidence of mental illness. Most of the suicidal men that I work with, their mind isn't malfunctioning. They genuinely have a life that is no longer worth living. They're looking at things and objectively realizing that there's no way out of this situation. So they turn to suicide. So I know it's kind of like a very controversial statement, but I think that's what my clinical practice has shown, and there's some research to even back that up. So if we sort of look at what's going on with men, they have nowhere to turn to, and the number one thing that correlates with it is not mental illness, but is a sense of thwarted belongingness. But basically what happens is what causes people to kill themselves is they try to connect with others and they get rejected.
I've just stated the problem. That bias is there. There are people who will hate you before they've even gotten to know you, before you've said anything or done anything. But for the same reason, it means you shouldn't take them seriously. Their opinion is not based on any objective reality about you. You are the one who gets to choose what you say and do with your life. You are the one who gets to determine your value and the values you stand and live by in this world. The bias is there. It may be ugly. It may be against you. But you are still the captain of your own life. And you're not beholden to anyone else but yourself. Thank you for listening.